Well, hello. I want to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is a show where I look at the pens and inks I am using this week. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about the pens and inks that I use, review various fountain pens at all ages, new and old, various price points, please subscribe below. If anything I mention this week interests you, please feel free to comment below. So the pens that I'm using this week are, from left to right, not in use, but worth looking at. This is a pen I've had for a long time. This is a Cora. So you can see the word, maybe. I'm still learning to use my new lighting. You can see the word Cora there. This is a pen made in the Netherlands, probably in the 1950s. I had a viewer this week email me with all kinds of information on the Cora company. That's the only thing I've been looking for in order to review it. So I will be filming a review of this pen this week. It is a magnificent pen. No, it's not one of those slim black pens I like. It's one of those slim gray pens, but I like it. And I'm kind of excited to review it. So I hopefully can identify the viewer when I get around to filming the review. But if I can't, I am still very grateful for this viewer putting me in contact with all this information. So that's one of the pens that I will be reviewing. In fact, in the next 2 weeks, expect this review and a review of the Beaumont Art Journal. So I felt that was worth pointing out. The rest of the pens I'm using this week are, from left to right, a Montblanc Monte Rosa, a Sheaffer Imperial 2 Deluxe, a Wing Sung 601, a Hero 718, Platinum President, Waterman Hemisphere, a Molster Penkala, and a Columbus 65. So let's take a look at how these things write. A couple of these are fairly new arrivals, and a couple of them are old friends that you have seen before. As always, I will be writing in my Beaumont Art Journal. This will be the other review that you can expect in the next 2 weeks. Valentine's Day has come and gone, so I'm filling this out for February 16th, 2018. The first pen is my Montblanc Monte Rosa. Slim black pen like I like, vintage, probably from the late 1960s. This is actually a student pen. Some were sold with steel nibs. It doesn't have on the finial, it doesn't have the traditional Montblanc snowflake, or bird splat as its detractors would say, but it does have a stylized snowflake on the clip. Inside, of course, piston filler. I think you can tell now. It has diamond-shaped ink windows, which is neat. And the nib is a gold nib, very flexible. And there we go. So let's see how this guy... My ink is Kyo-iro, Fushimi's Flaming Red, which might be a location worth looking up, a location I would like to see someday. And this color is meant to match it. My next pen in use you would have seen last week. This is a review I'll be filming soon. No idea yet when it will be published. This is a Sheaffer with a Triumph nib. You saw it in more detail last week. So Triumph nib. You saw the filling mechanism last week, so I'll gloss over it this week, but quite a nice pen. I really didn't expect it to look like that. I'll show you why here in a second. So I did use this pen last week for pens in use. Last week, it was writing with a much, oops, you can't see it. It was writing with a much lighter color. So I'm not sure what's up with that. I expected it to be lighter colored, honestly. My next pen, I had some discussion with a viewer. Turns out I was wrong, and I'm big enough to admit it when I'm wrong. So I was suggesting this was a draw filler because I thought I had read that somewhere. It turns out I had read that somewhere, it just wasn't about this pen, it was a different pen. A draw filler, what you have here is a plunger mechanism, and then down here you have a little capillary tube. Sorry, the word is escaping my memory at the moment, but it draws ink up, a feeder tube, I guess. Draws ink up in here every time you do suction with up here with the draw filler, and then fills the ink. Well, this is a vacuum filler, just like a Parker Vacuumatic, just a bit easier to access it with this nut here. So I was wrong, and so I'm putting that out there so nobody is further misled. The pen is just as good of a pen. It is a Wing Sung 601. I'm going to call that a fine or even an extra fine nib, but I don't know. The ink is Birmingham Phipps Conservatory Verbana. Like all the Birmingham inks, it is named after a location in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went to college 60 miles north of Pittsburgh, so I'm not particularly familiar with Pittsburgh because I didn't go there very often, even though I was close. Lack of a car was a big part of the reason. But so I think that's kind of cool that they're using a location. My next pen, rather nice. I got this thanks to Leo on his pen, the Inquisitive Quill. This is a Hero 718. Not a safety pen, just a pen with a retractable nib. Also, I believe this is the only 10-karat gold nib in my collection. This is another one of those Birmingham inks. No, it isn't. I lied. This is a Pelikan 4001 Violet. A ink that I particularly like. You might wonder if, after I review a pen, if I ever use it again. Well, of course I do. And here's one of my favorites, actually funded by you, or more directly, the advertising on this channel. This is a Platinum President, which I purchased from the nibsmith.com, and I had ground, let's see if I can pull this off, to a cursive italic by Dan Smith, the founder of nibsmith.com. Has a growing selection of pens, and the custom nib grinding is quite a nice perk of buying from him. This is my only custom ground pen, so I can't comment if he did a particularly good job. All I can say is that I'm very happy with it. So this was a broad nib, which, as I said, was ground to a cursive italic. Whoops. And that's one of the problems with cursive italic. You do need to be on point, or it just won't write. The ink is Noodler's Apache Sunset. One of the problems I've had with Apache Sunset is on finer paper. If it can't absorb into the paper, it can take forever to dry. I have a pen pal letter upstairs right now that's drying because I wrote a whole side with this, and to write on the other side, I need this to dry, and it is not dry yet. For my next pen, I am using a Waterman Hemisphere. Now this is perhaps not an exciting pen, but it's a very sturdy, reliable pen, and I chose it to be my Baystate Blue pen. I haven't written with Baystate Blue for a while. I'm not sure why. I had thought about getting Baystate Blue into one of my broader nibs, but I just haven't done it, so I thought, well, what the heck, let's ink this up again. Of course, Baystate Blue is a very bright, vibrant color. This camera will not do it justice. But it definitely stood out. I was correcting some student work with it this morning. And with this pen, it basically behaves. You might see, before I write the name of the ink here, you might see that there's a bit of feathering. But really, not bad. And of course, I wasn't correcting student work on paper that was this nice this morning. Of course, this is the only ink that this pen drinks. For chemical reasons, this ink does react with other inks to make an interesting sort of a sludge. I bring you now to another recent addition. Let's turn this so you can read it. This is a Moster Penkala. I don't know much about this brand yet. From what I understand, they were based in Croatia, but they had factories in several locations, including Berlin. The seller of this pen believes that it was made in Berlin. I can't find evidence for it, but I don't know. But it's a 1930s pen. Button filler. Quite a nice pen, really. And wait till you see how it writes. Now, when I first inked it up, I had a devil of a time getting it writing, but now it writes like a dream. The nib itself, I will probably try to get I have a camera that I can take better close-ups. I will probably try to do that before I film the review, which I have no promises when the review is. I have not owned this pen long enough to really say intelligent things about it yet. But I want you to notice, I don't usually post. This pen is a bit short, so I felt the need to post it. So, oops, and I dripped a little. So this is a Moster, and it's a wet as heck pen. The information on it, SW68, whatever that means. Like I said, I have a lot of research to do on this one. And it's a number 930. The ink is a Aurora. Blue-black. And this is a very wet writer. It will be interesting to see how it does on this paper. I will let it dry here, and we may even use the magic of video editing to see it after it has a chance to dry. See if it soaks through. I don't know if you can tell just how wet that is, but that's unusual for this paper. Although, to the ink's credit, no feathering yet. My last pen, I'll skip a line to avoid the dot there. This is a Columbus 65. Laminato 750. Columbus, there we go. The finial is sort of pearlesque. The other finial is meh. It looks a lot, although not exactly, but certainly inspired by an Aurora 88, of the vintage variety, of course. The ink window is segmented, and yes, I have reviewed this pen. The ink in it is one that I particularly like. I like the, oops, try that again. I jumped to the ink, forgot about the pen. So this pen is kind of fun because of the exquisite line variation it can pull off. Just these really broad broads and very narrow fines, or even, maybe, dare I say, extra fine? And I'm no master calligrapher or master flexer, but I'd call that pretty darned impressive. You know, even compared to that guy. Or the Monte Rosa that started this whole thing out. They're just, the broads I think are equally broad, but the fines, no. So this isn't dry yet, which was another thing I discovered on another page of a Pen Pal's letter, but you'll notice not soaking through, to the credit of the ink, I would say. So a few quick things before I close. I just wanted to point out, for the benefit of some of my viewers, there were a few concerns expressed about my use of the music, and I will admit I probably overdid the music. So what I did is I limited the music to channel advertising in my little opening screen, and if I do any slideshows I might use it there. It's kind of a jazzy little tune, I guess. I thought it was nifty. It came free with the software I use for editing this, which is Camtasia. So I felt the need to put it in, so we'll use it as an outro and sort of over the opening splash screen and my hey subscribe blurb, because I have sympathy. With some movies I have to turn on subtitles because with the music I can't actually pick out what people are saying. I don't consider myself particularly deaf. I mean, I teach teenagers and work in a lab, and it's not exactly silent when they're working at doing labs. To get 24 freshmen doing labs, and it's not dead silent. So I do have hearing, I think. So I worked on that. I've been working on a couple other things, just trying to professionalize a little bit. Trying to work on my uhs more than I have been. I've been trying to also work on making the green screen a little cleaner. I noticed on one video that my hair actually became kind of see-through because I overdid it on the adjusting for the green screen. Excuse me. I purchased a cheap, like $10 light that's hanging up there to help illuminate the writing and the pens. I think it's making the writing and especially the pens a little brighter. I would like to, I did the again. I'd like to experiment a little with some photography again. I got away from that. I actually, a long time ago, I started a blog to accompany this channel, and then when I was having trouble getting good light to photograph the pens, I sort of lost interest. So I'd like to get back into doing that. Time might be a bit of an issue with that, but I think if I start batch producing pen videos, then I can batch video record one weekend and batch photograph another weekend. So maybe I can make it work. I don't know. You'll see one other review yet to come that's very, very old style. It just somehow never got published. I kept putting off its publication date till I'd changed my style again. So I think I'm going to do a dual release one Wednesday soon. Just get it out of the system. And so anyway, so batch producing more. I'm trying to professionalize it more. At the same time, I'm me, and I don't want to lose that, so I'm trying to keep that. One thing I may upload, I was given a Christmas present I haven't had much chance to use because, well, here we are, middle of February. I still haven't had a chance to really go anywhere. I've been stuck in my small town in North Dakota since December and getting a little cabin fevery. But I'd like to get out. But in the meantime, since I haven't gotten out, I used the dash cam and just did a tour around town after some snow. And I'm going to edit together some footage that I took with the old dash cam and then put it together with the one with the new dash cam, just so you and I can see the difference. And so I may be giving a dash cam to somebody down the road. Who knows? But anyway, I'm hoping to get out soon. I don't know when, But doggone it, I want to get out of my small town. So I'm going to just have to find a way. Weather has conspired against me on days that have been available. Other events, Science Olympiad is really killing my free time right now. Just a lot of things mounting up. So I will find a way somehow. So anyway, if you like videos like this where I talk about fountain pens and inks at all price points, both new and old, please subscribe below. If anything in here struck your fancy, or perhaps you have information about any of the pens mentioned today, I would love to hear from you, so please feel free to comment below. So I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.